Welcome back everyone to another Company of Heroes 2 replay cast, and this time it is going to be a 2v2. I believe it's sent in by Black Panther, who is playing the OKW, and his friend is Vepper. They are going to be facing off against La 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 as the Soviets and Andres David as the Soviets as well. So 2 Soviets versus 2 OKW on Samoski Winter. It's been a while since I've seen this map, and it's definitely been, well, not long enough because I hate it. So I didn't really wish to see this map ever again. Anyway, it is a annoying map with a lot of ice, and I think it's the first time I've seen this map since I have my new graphics card. So that's why the ice looks, well, better than it used to. Anyway, of course, conscripts are bad on this map. One of the reasons why I hate it. And yeah, both of the Soviets are going with tier 2 for understandable reasons. The center is just a mess of buildings that you can use to just kind of garrison MGs. They are going to garrison their MGs in their buildings, so you need mortars. So having tier 2 is just king. And for the Germans, we're going to have 2 Kubwagons, interestingly enough, 1 for each player. And their troops are going to try to get some good ground at the beginning. This is a new house. This used to be over here. Ah, the map got changed. I had never even noticed. Anyway, well, must have been in the last patch. Anyway, Sturm Pioneers pushing up. Yeah, this is going to be not good for those combat engineers. Should probably escape. Oh, actually, it is the Sturm Pios who escape as they see the massive gathering storm of conscripts and machine guns up here. Probably a good idea. Did anything else change? Let's quickly go over it while nobody... This house did not get changed. What? I mean, they changed this house for some reason, and then they don't change... Oh, that's because they wanted to make this house as good as this house at sort of putting pressure on VP. Not VP, fuel. Huh. Because this house used to be over here with the strategic point, whereas this house is over here with the fuel point. So I guess it's like a map symmetry. What I would have done is reposition this house rather than reposition the house that was over here, because this house is just annoying. It's very hard to deal with if the enemy gets a troop in there. It makes it harder to harass the fuel if you're trying to come in from the north. It's just annoying. I don't like it, and it looks like the house over here is going to be annoying as well. Anyway, we have 2 conscripts pushing up against it, and of course Sturm Pioneers standing at long range against the conscripts. Even though they have the house covered, they're probably going to lose in the long term. This is still going to sort of tie up these 2 guys while there's a big fight going on in the center. And in fact, nice incendiary grenade going to come through on the Maxim over here, and so that's going to allow these Volksgrenadiers to push up. They're trying to throw another grenade, but of course the machine gun gets out, and they're going to try to chase down and kill the members of the crew, but the 2 conscripts get back in time, and they're probably going to gun down those German troops. However, the house is now vacant. Grenade comes through, more damage on the Maxim crew, and now the house is going to be occupied by Sturm Pioneers. So this is not looking good for our Soviet players over here. The Germans are pushing up right up to their sort of side of the town in the center, and oh no, this is not looking good. Oh, it looks like they're gonna lose 1. The conscript squad taking a nasty grenade to the face as well, so not looking good for them. In the meantime, in the south, we have Maxim machine gun pushing up against some Sturm Pios, but this is just a delay for the central push to work its way to the Allied spawn. Of course, these 2 Maxims should probably be able to stop the last German push. So while the Germans getting the fuel superiority, grabbing both fuel points, it's not a total rout for the Allies. They're able to at least hold on to the center VP. And hold on, sorry, I have to do something. Just blowing my nose. Anyway, yeah, in the south, the Germans, however, are sort of picking themselves up, and, well, really now? These bugs still exist. Anyway, yeah, they're trying to push up, but the fact that the Allies are going so heavily on Maxims is clearly causing a lot of problems for our German players. This push up here was stopped essentially just by the Maxims, and the Maxim down here suppresses the Sturmpiles, suppresses the Volksgrenadiers, and prevents them from really putting a lot of pressure on the Soviet holdings in the south. So this is not looking good for them. Nice grenade, but it's not going to be enough. These conscripts can probably just avoid it, although they're standing in it. That, of course, is not the best. They take a lot of damage, and probably, well, do they have any medics? No, they don't. So that's worse than it could be. In the meantime, we have a Luke's coming through for Viper. His ally is going with the, about a group of quarters. So we have essentially both of the trucks set up. Can this guy shut up? Can this guy shut up? Okay, good. So the Luke's is on the field. That's pretty good. Well, not on the field, actually. That was just a cube wagon. It's going to be on the field soon. That's pretty good. The Allies don't really have any tank guns on the field, which is probably a mistake. They should have been expecting a Luke's, and they should have been expecting it by 6 minutes. Considering that La has 600 manpower, he could have probably, you know, spent 320 of that manpower on this AT gun. Considering that both of these players have tier 2, they really should not be getting caught with their pants down against the Lukes. But we'll see. Do any of these have anti-tank grenades? Yes, La is going for anti-tank grenades, but right now his conscripts are retreating back to base. There's one of them on the field, but one AT grenade is not going to be enough to stop the Lukes. Black Panther picked Firestorm, and of course that's pretty good with those LEIGs against the incendiary munitions. It's going to be good to deal with the buildings, with the flamethrowers. It's going to be good later on with the Opel Blitz trucks to help out in the resource income game. And looks like the Lukes is going to make its appearance felt right up against the only unit on the field that can do anything to it, that being these conscripts. And of course it's going to take an anti-tank grenade for its troubles, but the Germans do not lack in the Sturm Pioneer, so they can repair this thing. Worse is the Lux is going to be slowed down in its quest for shock value. Essentially, at this point, the Allies know that this thing is on the field. They get the Guards Riflemen. Actually, that's why he was saving up Vampire, because he gets both Guards Riflemen and the 120mm mortar. And they also have the chance of getting out an anti-tank gun. So essentially at this point they can get counters. They also know that there's a flak half-track because it starts opening up on the Maxim. So at this point the Allies are really in full alert for enemy armor, or at least light armor. So at this point we should not be seeing the Allies getting themselves surprised anymore, but you never know about these things. Well done taking out that cube wagon, by the way, from these conscripts, not even using anti-tank grenades. And right now Andres David also has anti-tank grenades. He's gone for armored assault. His ally is guard mortar coordination tactics, so lots of late game armor. Nicely using the grenade from the guards to destroy that Volksgrenadier squad, and right now there's a lot of grenades flying through, lots of squads on low HP. Lux is taking fire from the PTRSs, but the PTRSs waste their shots on the retreating Volksgrenadiers. The PTRSs are probably going to try to get into the church and get some rounds off, but no, they don't. They progress through the open terrain, which is going to make them more vulnerable to the STG-44s of these Sturm Pioneers, and of course the flak half-track suppressing their buddies is going to prevent them from being supported against those, and the Lukes manages to escape through that chaos and into the safety of the rear lines. However, these Maxims are still up and about, blazing away at the German troops, and the German troops are feeling the heat and having to retreat. So overall, the engagement goes well for the Germans in that they keep their Dukes alive, they keep some of their vehicles alive, and they inflict some major casualties on the Allies, but the Allies are essentially holding the terrain. So at this point, ooh, here comes a Molotov. Molotov cocktail is gonna head straight to the church. Of course, burning the church is a very Soviet thing to do, and well, also 120mm mortar gonna fall on those hapless Sturm Pioneers. At this point, it seems like, yeah, we have the light vehicles really holding it together for the Germans, but the resource game is falling into the hands of the Allies. They have both of the fuel points. They have the same amount of munitions. So really, the ball is on their side of the field. They need to grab the initiative, get some teching done, and well, counter these light vehicles with their own medium and heavies, which isn't going to be all that difficult considering we have T-34-85s for La and T-34-85s for Andres David. So both of these teams both of these allied players rather, sporting some pretty heavy medium armor action. And well done with these Sturm Pioneer Flamethrowers. The reason these Sturm Pioneer Flamethrowers are so good... Oh, I don't think this guy is in any danger, but there's an anti-tank gun, so I'm going to follow this engagement rather closely. Anti-tank gun does get a shot off at maximum range, but Lux sees that and gets out. Of course, right now there's a couple of not Vickers, MG34s, sorry. MG34 is getting suppressed by Maxim up to vet 2, but the Maxim is taking fire from an LEIG support gun back somewhere. I don't see it. Oh, right, over here. And at this point, oh, more flamethrower action in the south, and flames are just all over. It looks like Molotov, incendiary grenades, and flamethrowers massacring everybody and everything. Yeah, these Sturm Pioneer Flamethrowers were a very good pick in this urban environment because they're not only strong against enemy units out in the open with the STG-44s, which actually do more damage than the Flamethrowers themselves, by the way. So it's not a counter against Flamethrowers to go ahead and stand at either no cover or negative cover, because negative cover actually reduces the damage you take from Flamers. Still, it's not a counter because those squads have other weapons, and they have more other weapons than they do Flamers. Even just a Soviet combat engineer or a Pioneer squad will do more damage per second with their regular weapons than the actual Flamethrower. Where the Flamethrower comes in is when the enemies get into cover, and it's essentially something more. Ooh, well done. And of course, singularly, the Flamethrower does do more damage than like the rifles. But I was saying, as a sort of collective, the free guys with regular weapons will do more damage. Ooh. Oh god. Okay, so lots of anti-tank grenades falling in, but this guy was just too wounded to throw his own anti-tank grenade. He didn't want to lose that conscript. Honestly, it might have been worth it to sacrifice the conscript to take out the Lux. The Lux is up to 15 kills, and ooh, oh god, sorry for the burp, by the way. Here comes a Stuka, which could be very bad. Nicely wiping out the mortars. That was well done. That was the 82mm mortars. Looks like both of them being decrewed. The 120 is still around, but it's forced back to base. T-70 is on the field for La La La, and that's an okay choice, but the problem is T-70 is facing a lot of possible threats. We have Panzerschrecks, we have, oh, but it manages to find a Stuka. So we have, of course, the Flak Half-Trap, which can do damage. It can do a lot of damage to the T-70 light tank. We have a Raketenwerfer up here for Black Panther. But the T-70, despite all of that, manages to find and destroy the Stuka, thus already paying for itself, and the damaged Lux. Damaged Lux, however, is supported by Panzerschrecks. So the Panzerschrecks are going to be able to destroy the T-70 before the T-70 can win against the Lux, which it probably could have. Although the T-70 manages to very nicely escape into the waiting jaws of Volksgrenadiers with Panzerfaust. Where is the Panzerfaust? Here comes the Panzerfaust. Gonna try to shoot through the, the hedgerows, and it manages to do that and blow up that tank. Anyway. Yeah, so Soviets getting a nice kill on the Stuka. However, the Germans are slowly but surely getting a lot of advantages sort of piled up in their side of the field. However, yeah, there's still a lot of problems with the Allied infantry. They're taking essentially losses that they shouldn't be in their engagements with the Germans. Ooh, well done, at least killing that MG-34. And the Soviets overall, like, it doesn't seem like they're heading into the late game as quickly as perhaps they should be. For some reason, Andres David is just waiting on 222 fuel, which could be used right now for a what's this thing called? Let me try to think. Mechanized Armor Compagnia and Support Armor. No, Tank of Battalion Command. Sorry. Right. Tank of Battalion Command, which is like, what, 75? And then Support Armor Compagnia is 90. Maybe it's 80 and 90. Anyway, it would be around 160, 170, around that kind of fuel count. After that, you would still have around 50 to 60 fuel. You could decide to go for either a T-34-76, which in my opinion would be the best option right now to counter the Lukes, to counter the Flak Half-Track, to counter any other Stuka that the Germans would want to bring out in the field. Or you could decide to go for a Katyusha to get artillery of your own, which at this point would be very helpful for the Allies, considering what the Germans, of course, are gonna be forced to do, considering it's Samoski winter. So lots of machine guns and buildings, lots of infantry funneling through on very, very small avenues, and, you know, kind of static play on all that. Or you could decide to wait for a T-34-85 and try to secure your late game dominance. Of course, Andres David is the one with the IS-2, so he's the one with the big late game heavy call-in, which means that perhaps he should be going with a Katyusha or a T-34-76. I think both of those would be good picks for him, whereas he could just kind of let La go with the big T-34-85s. Because T-34-85s would be the only late game unit for La from his doctrine. The Germans, however, fortifications and Firestorm, they're being effective right now, whereas the Soviet doctrines, except for the 120mm mortars and the Guards Riflemen, which of course are pretty good, but except for those and the radio intercept, are not really giving any helps to the Allies. The Germans are placing down trenches with their fortifications. They might want to wait for a LEFH artillery piece. I don't know. And especially Black Panther is making great use of that Firestorm. He's got those Fire Stern Pioneers, you know, Flamethrower Stern Pioneers. He's got the Incendiary Infantry Support Gun. And he hasn't gone for any Opel Blitz trucks or MP40 Volksgrenadiers. The MP40 Volksgrenadiers are always kind of underwhelming, in my opinion at least. But I wonder about the Opel Blitzes. This could be a good idea. However, yeah, the reason why he's not going for any Opel Blitzes is likely because you can see the front line right now is very much open to sort of harassment all throughout by both sides. For example, right now the field point over here, if you were to put a Opel Blitz over here, yeah, it wouldn't really be secure. Like, the enemy could push up an anti-tank gun to about this area or this area without really too much resistance and put an end to the Opel Blitz, which, of course, is not what you want to when you're spending 225. Alright, at least the Germans are making a good push for the cutoff and already building sandbags, but this is a problem. They're negative cover, they're building, so they're going to take a lot of damage from these conscripts. Half of their HP shaved off already in one volley, and yeah, they're going to have to escape back to greener pastures. One thing that the Allies are doing good, it seems like, is building an infantry force. So we have guards plus 3 conscripts plus 2 120s plus the ZIS-3 anti-tank gun plus another ZIS-3 anti-tank gun plus 2 normal mortars plus 1 MG34 and 1 Maxim, so even stealing machine guns, plus 4 conscripts. That is a lot of Soviet men on the field. Whereas the Germans, we have 2 Flame Sturmpiles, we have 2 Volksgrenadiers, and then on the other side, 2 Panzerschrecks, 1 MG, 1 Volksgrenadier. So this is helping the Soviets and putting a lot of pressure into the enemy resource lines, putting a lot of map control pressure on the Germans. And right now we have an LEFH artillery piece for Viper, and he's also going for another Stuka, so really pushing heavily onto that artillery playstyle, which might give the Germans a bit of an edge when it comes to just the long waiting game of stalemate. Jagdpanzer going further in that direction, not really an offensive unit, more just to wait until the enemy makes a move and try to punish it. And I'm not sure what the Allies are going to try to do with their armor. We have 340 fuel for Andres David, and he's 3 CPs away from the IS-2, so he's not exactly that far away. So that kind of tells me that he might be going for an IS-2. He hasn't built any late game, you know, and late game tiers, which is a big mistake in my opinion, because, okay, so the IS-2 is 230 fuel. If you were to build those buildings, you would have 170 less, around 170 less fuel. So that would be about 180 left. You could still get an 80 fuel unit like a Katyusha or a T-34-76, and you'd have 100 fuel right now. Considering that you still need 1 CP and a half to get to the S2, to even be able to get the S2. That would mean that with 100 fuel and 30 income a minute, so 30 fuel income a minute, you would have to wait 100 for 4 or 5 minutes for the S2 heavy tank, which would be about the time you need to get those CPs. So really, it's just sitting here. All this fuel is just sitting here, being wasted, effectively being wasted, because resources that you're not using, it's like resources that aren't on the field, so it's a bit like resources that you lose. And the Germans, on the other hand, are using the resources. As you can see, their float is a lot less. So it's allowing the Germans, even though they have a very inferior infantry corps, it's allowing the Germans to keep themselves in this game, which of course is all they need. Here comes a grenade. It's not going to be enough. The Sturm Pioneers at close range massacre the guards because the guards have PTRSs. And in fact, they've just stolen a PTRS. No, that they stolen a DP. So this this Sturm Pioneer squad is well, interestingly equipped DP plus flamethrower plus STGs. However, that's not going to stop them getting massacred by plain old conscripts. So, well, despite all of that, ooh, what? Oh, that's why this guy is dead, because he got counter batteried by the LEFH. Interesting usage of that. Yeah, as you can see right now, the mortar fires, and the counter battery is like, yeah, I think I'm gonna shoot at the mortar. Yeah, this is pretty interesting. Interesting way to counter mortars with the LEFH. Feel like that's a good idea. Not really a ability that gets used all that much, but clearly showing its worth. Although it's not hitting at all. Eventually, it might hit, and it's definitely putting pressure on the mortar. In fact, the anti-tank guns are heading into the same area, which is a bit of a mistake. And the Stuka on the field is going to mean that these anti-tank guns are in trouble. 15 kills already for the second Stuka. And right now, the Allies have no ways to counter that. We have a T-34-85 on the field for La La La, which is the only weapon on the Allied arsenal that can try to hunt down this thing. Of course, it's going to need to be doing that very carefully. Here comes the Stuka barrage. Slightly misses. Very, very close to getting the jackpot of those conscripts. And the T-34-85, of course, very, very good purchase. It's going to help greatly in La La La's southern flank. Because, as you can see right now, the only thing that Black Panther has over here to deal with this is the Jagdpanzer. And the Jagdpanzer's problems with dealing with the T-34-85s is that the T-34-85s have mobility on the Jagdpanzer. So as you can see, the T-34 can use lines of sight shot blockers like this. Oh no, oh no, oh no, escape, get out. The American Roofer is supporting, and the Jagdpanzer is very, very close to killing it, and I think it's going to chase it down. You can probably try to get a button vehicle on with the guards, but it's not working out. Thankfully, the T-34-85 has managed to put enough distance between the Jagdpanzer and itself, and also to help that Zis-free, plus the guards, making sure that Black Panther probably smartly pulls back. He's right now floating a lot of manpower, which he could be using, but overall, as you can see, the Germans are kind of clawing back onto this. And, ooh, here comes a incendiary grenade. Gonna force those guys back. Once again, the Allies not using their advantages when it comes to resources. Andres David with 500 fuel almost, well, 450 fuel at his disposal with 13 CPs. At this point, he does have the S2 heavy tank. So, as you can see, he's gonna probably buy it straight away. And you'll see that, oh, wait. 222 fuel still in the bank. You did not need to save up 450 fuel to buy a 230 fuel unit. So perhaps what Andres David should have done is use that 230 extra fuel to get spending 170 of that on his tiers, his tech, so that he has more options, and then perhaps 80 more of that, so getting up to 250. That would mean half a minute of waiting for the S2. Half a minute of waiting for the S2 more than, you know, he had to do already. And getting a Katyusha or a T-34-76 to help deal with the Stuka, to help deal with the Lukes, to help deal with the German infantry that's pestering him. But hey, I'm not really there to get this rolling. And ooh, what is happening over here? The S2 is charging in alone. That's probably not the best idea. In fact, it hits a mine. That's a very bad, very, very bad thing. Pushing up without without engineers. No engineers on the field for Andres David. That is a terrible idea in and of itself. Even not considering the fact that he needs minesweepers to push up. He cannot repair his tank should he get, you know, damaged. Although his ally comes in with an amazing T-34, just fast and furious, coming in, and he's gonna get behind the Jagdpanzer that was pushing in, of course, to exploit that mine, capitalizing on the success of the mine. But the Jagdpanzer goes down and dies. T-34-76, however, has only essentially abandoned this thing. It does try to get the last shot in, but it bounces. The Panzerschrecks do not have the firepower to take out the T-34-85. T-34-85 destroys the Jagdpanzer 470 in a blaze of glory. And there's right now a Panzer IV J trying to come in and support, but it's getting kind of repelled by the Soviet infantry. And the Soviet infantry are going to throw anti-tank grenades, use PTRSs and button vehicles to kind of slow it down, allowing the rest of the Allied forces to pick themselves back up. There's a couple of anti-tank guns. The S2 has managed to completely shut down all of the bunkers, but there's a Raketenwerfer over here, and the Raketenwerfer with its stealth gets into a good position, good firing position on the S2, and the S2 is probably going to be destroyed, but the Raketenwerfer did not have line of sight to finish off the S2, and this could be pretty bad. Here comes the Stuka barrage over here. It does some damage to the T-34-85. The Soviet infantry is pushing up. The Raketenwerfer is also pushing up and has managed to destroy the S2. Well done. Amazing play by Black Panther with that Raketenwerfer. He was able to get the probably crucial kill of that engagement, which is that S2. The problem is, Andres David, because of all of that sort of resource storing up that he was doing, he's not in the worst position ever, because he can probably just save up a little bit more manpower and get another S2 straight away. But if he had more support units, if he had used his resources better, he wouldn't have been in a position where his S2 was unsupported, alone against a Raketenwerfer with no minesweepers, hitting a mine against, you know, multiple bunkers, wasting its precious shots against those. This thing takes a long time to reload, so you don't want it firing against bunkers in that kind of an engagement. You want it firing against enemy units, and it wouldn't have been in that position. It wouldn't have been in that position in the first place, so he wouldn't have needed to, you know, save up resources to get another S2, because he wouldn't have lost his S2. LFH artillery gun up to 29 kills, still on that counter battery. He looks like has plastered a few more mortar crews. It's firing again at something. Where are you firing at, buddy? I don't know. Anyway, in that engagement, using his T-34-85 masterfully. He's getting another T-34-85. His force is probably the most well-rounded of all of them. His only problem right now has been with the mortars getting counter-batteried. And the Stuka, 35 kills, is definitely putting a lot of pressure on the Allies. With their playstyle revolving so heavily around infantry and support weapons, of course the Stuka, if well used, can be a very, very good thing. As you can see, Andres David, who earlier on had a massive array of support weapons, conscripts and all of that, right now is down to 3 conscripts and finally a combat engineer. Combat engineer, though, it's not supporting the S2 with the minesweeper. It's not supporting what it needs to support. S2 very, very boldly gets anywhere near the ice. That's probably not the best idea. Nice anti-tank grenade, plus the S2 pushing up, destroying that pesky Lukes once and for all. In the south, the T-34-85 is pushing in. Probably a bad idea, considering it's pushing into the unknown, where there could be any number of bad things like Raketenwerfers waiting. Looks like a second Jagdpanzer is going to be built by Black Panther. I think that right now he should be following his namesake. There goes the Stuka again, this time getting surprised by an S2, which is, well, about the least sneaky, least, like, effective at rushing enemy units thing you could imagine. Which is, well, interesting. interesting that that thing was able to destroy that. There's just a massive swarm of everything going on. I have no idea what's happening. Looks like the Flakkraftwerk getting rushed by 2 T-34s. Planes getting shot down left and right by the Schwer Panzer quarters. The S2 is trying to put down some fire on this Panzer IV. The German anti-tank guns are trying to support. In fact, it's the Soviet, you know, anti-tank guns in German hands trying to support the push, or rather the defense against the Soviet push. And the T-34s getting into a pretty nasty position where they're getting shot at by the Schwer Panzer quarters across the lake. And they're very, very low on HP, so if these German vehicles were to charge in and chase after them, it would be pretty good. S2 taking a damaged engine, most likely from Panzerfausts, and at this point, yeah, with the Zis-3 stolen and the Jagdpanzer in here, yep, there goes the S2. Attempt at support coming in from the Soviet infantry is not going to be enough. So that's the second S2 dead for Andres David. He has basically lost everything. He still got a few resources in the bank. Loses another conscript squad to the Panzer IV Aus J. And another conscript squad to the Panzer IV Aus J. So at this point, Andres David is down to what you get at the start. He's down to a combat engineer and a conscript. Oh boy, that's not very good. And right now, as you can see, these two Soviet vehicles not having the best of times. And Andres David quits, is replaced by the AI. And as you can see, the bar is close to filling out. And I'm guessing that La, considering that he's 1v2 at this point, is probably gonna quit as well. So, problems for the Allies. Definitely Andres David. Like, I don't know, La played well. I just don't see... He didn't make really that many big mistakes, although he's right now using his T-34 85s in a very, very, very aggressive way. Just kind of standing around into Jagdpanzer fire. Sync error detected. That is because both Allied players quit rather than any of them surrendering. But yeah, the victory goes for the Germans. And yeah, except for just the last couple of minutes of T-34 85 usage, La played well. The problem was just, I don't know why these people save up resources to get a tank, and they save up like 3 times the resources that they need to get that unit. It's just a syndrome that I don't understand. Like, it's pretty simple arithmetics, you know? If you have if you need 300, right, for something, you don't bring 600. You bring 300. And then use the other 300 for something else. Of course, like, it's not even that difficult, like, to micro in the heat of the moment and then think about, like, oh, how much, you know, how many resources do I really need to save up? Like, if you're doing this consciously, in a way. It's not like really, oh, I'm microing something, it's difficult. You know, it's like, you know, micro, okay, that's difficult. But this is just, like, resources. It's like, you should be thinking about this a couple of times, but most of the time it's not that difficult to really use your resources. Anyway, yeah, the conscripts are also kind of confused. They just don't know. They're like, why? Like, why? Почему? Anyway, I want to thank you for watching. Hope you've enjoyed, and I'll see you soon.